This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we'll be reviewing A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine Wrinkle.
If, like us, you've been totally obsessed with Stranger Things, then you will of course know that this book, first published in 1962, was a major influence to the Duffel brothers in creating the show. There will be spoilers for both the book and Stranger Things, including the finale. So if you haven't read or watched, and you intend to, then we will still be here once you have. If you're enjoying the show, please take a second to like this episode and subscribe for the latest updates. Also, let us know what you think in the comments. All of this helps more fantasy lovers find us and is the easiest ways to support what we do. A quick tap and you've made our day.
So, without further ado, let's get into it, starting with our usual.
Wait, what just happened? So Meg Murray is having a rough time. Her dad vanished doing top secret science. School is a disaster and her self-esteem is somewhere under the floorboards. One stormy night, while Meg, Charles Wallace, child prodigy, possible alien, and their mum are snacking at midnight, a strange woman named Mrs. Whatsit barges in and casually announces, "Tesseracts are real." Cool, great. No follow-up explanation. The next day, Meg and Charles Wallace meet Calvin O'Keefe, who wandered over because the universe apparently sent him a push notification. After dinner, Mrs. Whatsit returns with her equally eccentric friends, Mrs. Who and Mrs. Witch, and informs the kids it's time to go and rescue Mr. Murray. Naturally, they all tesser across the cosmos, learning about a giant evil darkness swallowing planets. Turns out Mr. Murray accidentally teleported himself straight into it and is now stuck on Camazotz, a planet run by It, a giant brain/dictator who is deluding itself into thinking it is doing everyone a favour. On Camazotz, Charles Wallace gets mind-hacked by It and becomes a creepy tour guide. He leads Meg and Calvin to Mr. Murray, whom Meg frees, only for Charles Wallace to drag them all into It anyway. It attacks them with its hypnotic rhythm, and Mr. Murray panics and tessers himself, Meg, and Calvin off-planet, leaving little Charles Wallace behind. Meg is injured by the tesser and nursed back to health by the gentle tentacled beings of Itshell. The Mrs. W's show up and tell her she has to go back alone to save her brother, armed with one mysterious clue. Use the thing she has that It doesn't. Back on Camazotz, Meg realizes the answer when Charles Wallace, still possessed by It, claims Mrs. Whatsit hates her. Wrong. Mrs. Whatsit loves her, and It can't touch that. Meg blasts Charles Wallace with pure sibling love, breaking It's control. The whole crew tessers home, the universe is safe, and Meg finally gets her dad back, all thanks to cosmic travel, stubbornness, and weaponized affection. How was that? Did that sum it up?
Pretty much, I think you had the main stuff from this book.
Yeah, so I only took about 6.5 hours to read. So this is a really manageable book. I mean, it's also for children, so yes, that kind of helps.
I mean, it's a book from the 60s, so you can tell that even the length are different at that time as well.
Yeah. So we're going to do our usual screaming, crying, not throwing god swords, throwing wormholes. So screaming, crying, throwing wormholes. How did you feel about the book?
I felt a little bit refreshing when I was reading this book. After a year and a half, I think, just focusing on romantasy, it felt a little bit different. For me, at least, it felt like reading Harry Potter the very first time. And I mean it in the fact that, yes, the main characters are children, and the children has to save the loved ones. But all the stuff they had to go through is something that even for an adult, it will be really complicated. So I really like the Ovelis's focus on the plot and the characters. and not that much in like romance or other kind of stuff. So I find it really good.
Yeah. It is bonkers though, isn't it? Like, I really liked the characters. I liked the world. Like I said, ultimately it's a kid's book, so it was never going to be long. But I feel like the end was a bit hurried to keep it short. I would have loved the escape from Camazotz to be way more complex, but I know that it's got to be understandable.
Yes.
I like Meg. She spends most of her time kind of resenting her flaws. But like most kids her age, thinking about the things that they're not so good at yet. But she ends up realizing that they're part of what makes her really strong. I could see quite a lot of influences for Stranger Things, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But I was relieved that Stranger Things didn't end in the same way. I mean, there was a big theme of love, but it wasn't the thing ultimately that ended Vecna. That was Mummy Will chopping off Vecna's head, so slightly different. And then the team attacking it, the big spider thing from all sides. I mean, I can see why it's clearly a 5-star book for many people, and I can only imagine how different it was at the time. There is a little bit of history around it not being picked up as a book by publishers immediately because nobody knew what genre it was. It was quite a kind of defining sci-fi fantasy book. So yeah, and you can see that clearly it influenced lots of things that came after it.
Yes, it's actually a book that it has so many things that, yes, like they say, it's really difficult to put in just in one place because you could say the sci-fi, but at the same time there's a little bit of magic. These 3 beings that are there, they look more like magical beings. They don't look like aliens. They are, I don't know.
Well, they're kind of star. At least one of them is a star, but she can manifest her appearance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So more like a magical creature is how it reflects. But also, yes, the main characters are children, but all the stuff that happened there, it could be a little bit scary even for children. So it's tough, and I can even see that.
Yeah, but they didn't really worry about scary things for children because like the original fairy tales were terrifying, like the Brothers Grimm stuff.
Yes.
So it's kind of a different time. Now all our kids' books are about like gross things, like just bodily functions, I think. Whereas now, or at the time, that was quite a complex book.
Yes.
Who was your favourite character?
I would say Charles Wallace because it was such a different character. So you can see that, yes, it's a 5 years old, but that's
not
so
like our 5-year-old, is it?
No, definitely it's so much like wisdom in this little creature. And you don't know exactly what he is. It's like an experiment of his dad.
I think he's a star. I think he's an old star.
I think in a moment, I think it was Mrs. Watsy. They said that he is like the next level of evolution of humankind or something like this.
Oh.
So is it this or
maybe we should read the rest of them? Like this is a disclaimer that we've only read the first one.
Yes.
I definitely will be reading the next 2.
Yeah, I would like to know what happened in the end with these characters and see how it ends and maybe what other stories have inspired the whole series.
Yeah, I did hear though that she didn't quite know what to do with Charles Wallace, so she's written the rest of the books and kind of you hear everybody's story and how they turn out, but she hadn't formulated Charles Wallace's, and it came to her late on in her life, and I don't think she wrote it, but I could be corrected on that.
Yeah.
I read it somewhere this week.
What about you? Which one was your favorite character for this book?
Yeah, I think Charles Wallace, curious little thing. I think, though, just to not repeat your answer, I thought Mrs. Murray was fantastic. Like, as a mother, reading a mother, just completely letting her children be themselves and not worry about their future. Like, she's an amazing woman because it's really hard to do that and not try to interfere all the time. And I like to think of these books as like, have they changed my mindset? Have they like altered my brain chemistry? And this one, and probably Mrs. Murray has, she's made me think, oh, everything's going to be fine. And that's like quite a nice thing to get from a fictional character. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from other mothers of young children how Mrs. Murray makes them feel. Because, she's probably given me a bit to think about.
Yes, she's a really interesting character as well. She's described as a really beautiful woman, but really smart as well. So
And
her beauty is not like the main thing about her.
just the way she is with the midnight snacks and the hot chocolate, although Charles Wallace is like downstairs making a 5-year-old on his own, making hot chocolate with a gas stove. I was like, what? But then it becomes quite clear that he is not your average 5-year-old. Yeah. So obviously this is the main thing that we wanted to talk about, some of the parallels with Stranger Things.
Yes.
We read this just before the finale, right? So I had a few theories for how Stranger Things was going to end, and none of them were right. So you couldn't, the first thing I would say is if you haven't read it and you don't want to and you're watching this as a bit of a should I read it? Yeah, absolutely read it, but don't read it because it's the same as Stranger Things, because it's absolutely not. I thought Stranger Things was, obviously it's for adults. It was way more complex. It was way more intriguing. It was way more mysterious, particularly kind of the escape from Camazotz. I would have liked to have seen that be more like Stranger Things. So the memory map and like being stuck in a maze and being stuck in the memories. That was so cool in Stranger Things. The escape from Camazotz in this is just they find the dad. The dad tesses them away to the closest planet, and there's no kind of fight or struggle. I felt like obviously Stranger Things did that bit better. But should we talk about the things that are similar?
Yeah, sure.
The all-knowing creature, it. So it is what you could draw a parallel with the Mind Flayer there, that it's like the thing that is in control. Yeah,
the big boss.
Yeah, and then you've got the man with the red eyes, who is kind of like a general. He's acting. It trusts this man with the red eyes to kind of do its bidding. That would be Vecna. So that's the first thing that I would say. The kind of the darkness spreading across as well. Although it's quite clear in the 5th season of Stranger Things that the Upside Down is a bridge between the two worlds. That's not really the case. The story here is that the darkness is spreading across multiple planets and it's come to Earth. So while I kind of envisaged it to be like the Upside Down, it's not a bridge to the to another world. It's more that it is just taking over planets. It's not the same.
Other thing that you can tell there is very similar to Stranger Things as well, is that we see there are kids saving the situation. So when
saving the world, I would say.
Yeah. So when Stranger Things started, the kids, they were like 11 years old or something like this. The main character, there's Meg. She is 12, I think, in this story. So you see there's a really similar story here. Character,
kind of like Harry Potter as well, isn't it? The kids are saving the world.
It's a magical number, or maybe it's marketing. Never know. But you can see that this character, they don't even bet in themselves. They think that this thing shouldn't happen to them because they don't have the power or they don't have what it takes to go through all of this. But in the end, they found the strength to go through all of this. And it's exactly what it happens to Meg. Meg, she's thinking that she's like just a little thing, that she's not worth it. But that she, little by little, started to see that she had too much to offer as well.
I was never meant to love a human. But then, I saw her. I wasn't supposed to touch that fruit, but I took it, and I ate it. I was the most loyal of angels, until I lost her. Now they call me the devil, and I'll burn heaven itself before I lose her again.
Memoirs of Luzbel, a dark fantasy novel. Book 1 of the Luzbel saga. Now available on Amazon.
Another few things, Mr. and Mrs. Whatsit, so in name only. So Henry was called Mr. Whatsit by I think because Holly was the first one and Holly was reading A Wrinkle in Time. Could have been, I don't know if we ever got this resolved in Stranger Things, but it could be that she just called him that and then he started to use that name. Yeah.
Yes.
But I was convinced that Vecna was not actually bad. Because we find out that Mrs. Watson was a star. She sacrificed herself to kind of fight the darkness. And I thought at this point that Vecna was trying to weaken the Abyss so that when the Abyss crashed into Earth, it was actually the Abyss that got destroyed. I thought he was going to be good. There was a moment at the end where Will was like, "You're not bad. Come and fight with us. You are like me. Yeah, you are a vessel." And then he was like, "Get out of my head." So he wasn't having any of it. But I was so hopeful that Vecna... But now thinking about how it actually did end, I think if Vecna had fought on the side of the good, well, number one, Elle wouldn't have known. She would have gone in there and attacked him anyway. And two, it would have been a bit of a cop-out that like the big bad guy wasn't bad at the end. So I think everyone would have felt a little bit like they were robbed of their big bad villain. So I think it was good in the end.
Yeah. I thought that he was the bad guy. But I thought that he had been manipulated by the Mind Flayer. And that's why when he went to the mind, he started to see more clearly that memory that he was like trying to avoid. And then Will was telling him the Mind Flayer didn't want him to be there because then he will realize that it wasn't his fault, that everything was out of his control. And there was a moment that I thought that he would change his mind because he was scared. So that's like a human behavior there. So I thought
but it was the Mind Flayer that was making him scared. Okay, so Holly, I kind of said this a little bit at the beginning, but Holly compares Vecna's mindscape to Camazot's. I guess it is similar insofar as Henry is keeping the children in a vision of safety and ignorance in his childhood home while he uses them. So he's created this kind of feeling of bliss and calmness, and they have what they want and they wear lovely clothes and it's all good. And when you think about the Camazot's planet in the book, it is kind of doing that, isn't it? So it is the people of Camazot's have submitted themselves to it, and it is creating illusions of just calmness and everyone is happy. They are completely like, it's a bit Stepford Wives-ish, isn't it? Where everybody is going out and throwing the ball at the same time. Everyone is leaving their house at the same time. But they are not in conflict. They're all like kind of ignorance is bliss kind of thing. And I think that is what Henry is trying to recreate. So I can see why Holly draws a parallel to that kind of situation. But the escape in the book is nothing like as cool as what they do in Stranger Things, where Max is like finding the difference in the memory and using that to get to the next one. And like that would have been just really... And I'm kind of glad that it's not exactly the same, because then you'd think, well, it's just a remake. But yeah, I was quite disappointed. And I think that was just because I'd watched Stranger Things first.
Yes. I mean, I think that is the key about comparing A Wrinkle in Time and Stranger Things. The Duffer Brothers, they use this as an inspiration, but that doesn't mean there is a remake of the book or something similar. So you can see where the ideas came from, but they made a completely different thing.
Yeah,
here.
Which they had to.
Yes, and yes, this book is more like oriented for kids, so there has to be simple they can understand, because if you start to add like layers, like they happen in Stranger Things about, I don't know, time, memories, and that kind of stuff.
It was already quite complicated because you had the talk of 5 dimensions, and there was a point where she was trying to explain how tesseracts work and using the folds of a skirt, and I thought that was really clever. But that is quite a complicated thing for an adult mind to comprehend, not let alone a kid. And the way that the author dealt with that is that she kind of said she understood for a second and then it was gone and it was fine. You don't have to understand it. You just have to know that it happens. Tesseracts kind of like wormholes. So the main concept of bending the reality between worlds and travel between different planets or different worlds was a key theme in both the book A Wrinkle in Time and Stranger Things. I don't necessarily think that is a big influence because it just is science fiction, isn't it?
I feel like completely different because in the Stranger Things we are talking about like planes. So you go into like a different plane where everything looks very similar to the reality where you come from. But in the book and Wrinkle in Time, they use the wormhole just a ways to go from A to B, but in the same universe. So there's not like alternative realities. Everything is happening in the same, let's go to say, universe. It's just from planets or solar system really far away. They will take millennia to get there, even if you travel and speed of light. So the wormholes is just like a shortcut to go there. But in
Which is
Things,
the scientific concept.
Yes, that's how it works. But in Stranger Things, it's more like I see them more like an entrance to
like
another dimension. So you go inside alternative reality or your own world.
But that's how essentially a wormhole in science would work, isn't it? It could take you to another part of the same universe, or it could take you to a different dimension. Doesn't matter. It's just a hole, a wrinkle in time. Love and acceptance. So you've got a load of nerdy kids who don't try to fit in. You get exactly the same thing in Stranger Things with the D&D and the fact that it's about love and accepting who you are. And we have Will's coming out storyline in Stranger Things. And so, again, I don't think they were like, it was an influence from that. But I'm just trying to draw some parallels between. And as you say, it's not the same story. There are lots of things that you can see, and the things that we've talked about are quite clearly possible influences for the Duffel Brothers. But overall, I really, really did enjoy listening to this book, and super easy read.
Yes, that's one of the things that I really like. That it was straightforward. Just listen to the plot, listen to the story, and it felt that it goes really quick as well. When you abandon planet Earth and you start to travel to these planets, it just goes really quick until they back and then the book is done.
It'd be super interesting to see how she might have written that differently for a grown-up audience. Kind of like it made me, the way when they were visiting the different planets, it made me think of Star Trek, because my dad really liked Star Trek as a kid. Well, not as a kid, when I was a kid. And I remember, like, I didn't really sit and watch it, but I would know that they would visit different planets and meet different alien creatures, and they would go through a wormhole and they would end up somewhere else. And just reminded me of that. And I don't know what, it gave me this little bit of nostalgia, and probably because that was on the TV when I was a kid. But yeah, it felt quite similar to Star Trek in that they were going around different planets, meeting different people. Yeah. Okay, do you want to do a question from the stars?
Okay, what we got for this episode?
So this is the part of the show where we listen hard to the ethereal whispers of the fantasy universe and dig deep into our souls for the answer. As this is a bonus episode, we will answer this one straight away. But we'd love to have your answers in the comments. So Camazotz offers complete order and safety, but at the cost of freedom and choice. Would you ever trade your individuality for peace and comfort?
I think this is the dream of lots of detectives around the world. So you have just a bunch of people that are not thinking, they're just doing whatever they ask them to do. Everyone has a place, everyone has a mission, and that's it. But I think for me, even if you give me like a comfort life, it won't be enough to give up my freedom. Because I like to think at least that I have the freedom to do whatever I want to do with my life. That one day, yes, I might be working a big corporation, but maybe next day I just want to be like an artist, or I want to do something more meaningful with my life, and I can just decide when I want that change. So for me, it's not worth it. What about you?
Well, I would have thought it would be weird if you'd said, yes, I would. And I think you would think it was weird if I said, yes, I would. No, absolutely not. Like, I agree with you. It is a real kind of commentary on the way some things are around the world at the moment and have been in history. And there's absolutely no way I would want to just believe everything is fine. It's like the Matrix question, isn't it? It's the red pill or the blue pill. There's no way I'd want to know everything was fine and live in this weird...
Just not having any concerns or any...
No, because I feel like the bad bits make the good bits better, and the good bits obviously make the bad bits worse. But you learn and you can grow, and you've got free will. Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, I really think that one of the biggest gifts of life is that you don't know what's going to happen next. So that's why you feel more appreciation for the stuff that you have. Yeah.
Deep. Okay. I've really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed taking a break from the serious deep dives, talking a little bit about Stranger Things. So we hope you have too. But that's all we've got time for this week. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. Come and join the conversation. As we said, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction.
We'll see you next week for more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye.